remember that we are all connected. We're connected to each other. We're connected to our earth. We are connected to nature. Be the leaders that we need you to be. So, take that time, connect with yourself, think about who you are, be kind to the earth, be kind to yourself. That's so important. Like they say, put on your own oxygen mask first.
From a career in television, Flora Nell founded the Walk and Talk Club in London, where she uses her skills across media and psychology to help people achieve well-being. Flora, welcome to the show. So great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Bradley. I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely. I was very pleased to connect with you on LinkedIn. You share some great posts and some great information, and I discovered that you founded the Walk and Talk Club. But before we go there, perhaps if there was one thing you would like our viewers and listeners to take away from the conversation, what might it be?
I'm hoping to inspire people to connect. That's my big mission. Connect with each other, get into nature, connect with nature. It's so important because I just feel that we're so disconnected, and so let's make that our mission. That's my mission. I'm on a mission, so that's my message.
Excellent. Let's connect and spend time in nature, both two of my favorite things to do. So perhaps you could tell us a little bit about who you are and how you were inspired to pursue this mission.
I would say it evolved. I started off as a young mother, just wanting to meet other people. I was also quite new to the country. And, I just felt walking was a great way to meet people, and also for me to, can I say, when you're a new mom, you're so overwhelmed, and being in a country that you don't really understand how things work. So I joined a walking group, and everybody there was older than I was. And I just thought, okay, well, what am I doing here? But oh my Lord, it was the best decision I have ever made. You come in there, you're so stressed, have I put my children into the right school, my child starting nursery? And, they've all been through it. They've got life experience. And they just kind of say, don't worry, darling, it'll all be okay. And, and as I've lived through it, it really has been okay. And it continues to be okay because, we continue to connect and talk, and that's what makes it okay. Mm-hmm. So from there, I have a partner. Her name is Patricia, and we run the walking group together. But we evolved it from a walking group into a walk and talk club. So it was called Walk and Talk before, but please note that we don't talk while we're walking. So okay. People always laugh at us because we walk past and we look very strange because nobody's talking. But that is where the magic lies, because you get out into nature and you just walk mindfully. You're aware of your surroundings. You're aware of just your body. I try and tell the walkers, just, relax your mind. Try not to stress. Try not to worry about your to-do list. Just be in the moment. Even if you can do it for 5 seconds, you've succeeded. You've done something for yourself.
This episode is brought to you by Start With Values. If you'd like to reduce stress and increase fulfillment in your work and life, then check out startwithvalues.com. There, you'll be able to download the Values app, which helps you to discover your core values and bring them to life through micro habits. There is a values course so that you can learn about the science and practice of core values, and you'll be able to pre-register for my forthcoming book called Start With Values. I hope that these tools will enable you to achieve more fulfillment and make more meaningful decisions on your journey of life. Now back to the episode.
And when you are walking with a friend, or you tend to be talking, and you miss out on so much. So then Walk and Talk Club expanded, and we've decided to also incorporate social activities. So we take walkers out, we go to theatres, we go to lunches, and that has been very, very successful and very, very well received. That's where we are at the moment.
That's where you are. So how many people typically would join for one of these walks?
Well, between the two groups, we'll probably have close to 30 people.
Okay. And so the walking process is mindful. Is that the objective, is just to be really tuned into yourself, your thoughts, the environment, and then there's going to be space for connection afterwards? That's kind of how it works.
Spot on. Absolutely. So, so be mindful. I mean, the thing is that I tend to take my walkers off-piste. So we never do the same route twice. We're going sort of, going up the hill, we're going over tree roots, we're going under bush, not under bushes, but, so you don't really have an opportunity to just, be thinking, because you're very aware of where you're walking. Obviously, you don't want to fall. So, you're keeping mindful. I think that helps a lot. I think it helps to vary the routes. And I love afterwards when they say to me, I had no idea where I was. I mean, please note that we do the same areas every time, but I just vary it so that they don't really think about, oh, I'm nearly finished, or we're halfway there. They're always just be with the trees, be with, honestly, it's such a multi-dimensional experience. The smells, what you see, what you breathe in, clean air. It's just incredible.
And so many of us, myself included, I make sure to spend time in nature every day, unless I do yoga or something like that, in which case I might not. But I'm almost always listening to a podcast or an audiobook. Is that encouraged or discouraged in your program?
So not while we're walking,
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
No, it's really, you really need to switch off and just be with yourself and be comfortable with being with yourself. I find my most creative thoughts come from when I'm walking. I feel inspired, I feel energized, and I can't do that when I'm listening to something else or I'm talking. But I love podcasts. I've listened to them every morning. I listen, so I love to learn, and then I take what I've learned then we incorporate it in our discussion afterwards. So, yeah, you know what? And it's good that people sort of build up what they want to talk about. Because then our coffees afterwards are very lively, and I love that. Imagine. Yeah, lots of laughing, and we love it.
And that creativity. Many of the greatest thinkers of all time have said that their inspiration comes while walking. And I am gradually weaning myself off that need to be constantly learning, because that's my drive. It's like, what can I learn while I go for a run today? Okay. And on those days that I forget my AirPods, I have insights that I don't normally have. So I'm with you on that in terms of just being with your own thoughts in nature. What benefits have you found both from participants and maybe in your own research?
Yeah, so just to back up sort of what you've been saying there, before I go into the benefits.
Please.
There was an interview with a neuroscientist. Her name is Dr. Suzuki, and I listened to it quite recently. And she was saying about how she was studying, and she closed herself in a room, and she just wanted to put down her head and study. And then one day she thought, you know what, let me just go out for a walk. And she came back and she wrote, obviously whatever she was writing. And then afterwards she looked back at what she had written. And she said, this is the best stuff I've written so far. So what made the difference? And she went back and she said, oh my goodness, it was, actually going out for a walk. And then she started studying the brain a bit more. And she said, wow, the things that she was doing wrong was not moving, number one.
Yeah.
And then secondly, not connecting with anybody. And she was saying how vital that is for our brain. And that has been, look, for me, just sort of as a background, my father passed away from Alzheimer's. And that sort of has been, for me and for my sisters, sort of the sword of Damocles, just thinking, how do we prevent this from happening to us? Because obviously, you think now it's in the genes. And, this is, I'm not saying that walking is a cure, but if we can, they are doing more and more research into it. And I just find that at this stage in my life, I feel physically and mentally healthy and strong. And the other big benefit for me and for my walkers has been the mental health. Just, winters in the UK are difficult. They're grey, they're cold, they're rainy, but we get out there, Bradley. We don't shy away from that weather. We've got the right gear, so we wear waterproofs, we've got good shoes, and we always say that we find we get more of the benefit walking in the winter than we do in summer. And it's, and again, just that connection. I mean, if I think back to COVID, which was difficult for all of us because we could only walk on our own or with our family members. I just thought, how can we get the group to keep connected? Because that's what I'm saying, the importance. So we got onto Zoom. We did a few stretches together and we just had fun. We did cooking classes and we did quizzes, and I got them all to sort of send pictures of themselves from the 80s and we had to guess who was who.
It was.
So it's the connection is, I feel, the most important thing. And then the walking. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of mental health, I mean, obviously, from a pure well-being or physiological perspective, walking is good for you. Our bodies kind of are designed for this activity. We've got the perfect frame for walking. But what are some of the other benefits?
My goodness, yeah. I mean, it's like such a long list, but I'll just name some of them. Obviously, increased blood flow. And that is so important. We get oxygen into our blood, which then pumps all over our body. So it stimulates the brain. It makes the heart stronger. So, I don't know, there's been a little bit of science lately to say we've got a limited number of heartbeats. But I don't know. I don't know if it's true or if it isn't true, but I just think let's make those heartbeats count. So make them stronger. So, obviously, so get your heart rate up. That's really, really important. And then, of course, it helps prevent so many chronic diseases, right? I mean, there's so many. There's cancer. So it helps prevent some forms of cancer. It helps prevent neurological diseases. It helps, just anything that you can think of. Walking is a benefit. It helps. Even if it maybe your genes take over one day or something like it, it doesn't matter. It prolongs your life and makes the life that you're living comfortable and worth it.
Yes. What's the optimal time for a walk, or what have you found? What do you do?
So we start with gentle stretching. So we do sort of Pilates type stretches. And then we start walking slowly, and that's the time when you can still talk. And then after we've walked for about 5 minutes or so, I'll say warm-up's over, no more talking, and then we pick up the pace. So in my group, we walk quite fast, and in Patricia's group, they walk a little slower. So we try and sort of fit people in where they are comfortable but a little bit stretched. And then we walk for about, I would say, 45 minutes, and then we cool down. So then we start walking slowly again, people can talk again, and then we end with stretches. So the Pilates type stretches again. So important to stretch, by the way. Don't think that walking is a gentle exercise. You don't need to stretch. You absolutely have to. Because, like for your Achilles, so stretch your ankle. Your
Yeah.
knees, I mean, you have to stretch.
Yeah. Yeah. And afterwards, what's the connection like? Where do you go? What do you do?
So we've made connections with local coffee shops.
Okay.
So they know we're coming, which is wonderful because we
Yeah.
get there, we've got a warm welcome. They've set the tables out for us. It's wonderful because sometimes they don't even need to ask, what would you like? They just say, oh, skinny latte, flat white, cappuccino. And they know us, they know our orders. And that's also another connection. So it's connecting with local businesses, with people who run them. So they love connecting with us, and we love connecting with them as well.
Hmm. And for someone out there who would like to start walking, for example, I live in New Zealand, and how would you suggest people get started if they want to do something similar, if they want to walk with a group of people? But, we live in a time where there's a so-called loneliness epidemic, and a lot of people don't have a network. They don't have a community. There's so many people who live overseas, far from where they grew up, no family, friends. What's a good starting point?
You know what? Just start. Don't just start. I can't believe that there won't be a walking group somewhere near you. And if there
True.
isn't, get onto social media, say, hey, I want to walk. Does anybody want to come for a walk? And just do it. Honestly, look, and there's differences in walking. I also walk on my own because I like to have that time to download and, sort of think about my own stuff. And that's a different kind of walk. Walking with a friend is different again because you will talk. There's no way I'm going to tell my friend, listen, can you just be quiet for an hour?
Yeah.
I just need
Yeah.
to kind of be in the zone. No, we're going to have a
Yeah.
chat, of course, while we're sipping coffee. And but then there's the group element. And I have to tell you, Bradley, that the one that energizes me the most and I feel the most benefit from is the walking in the group. I just think there's an energy that you get from other people and that you don't get. But I think all of them are important, but
Yeah.
depending on what do you want your outcome to be? And I
Yeah.
feel, like I said, my mission is to connect. So let's get people connected. Get out into nature. Nature will connect you anyway.
It will. And there really is magic in group activities. I could do yoga at home, for example, but I like going to a studio because there is something about being in an environment where there are other people practicing the same thing as you. Even if you hardly ever talk to them, it's still a nourishing experience just to be in that shared reality. And
Absolutely. And
yeah,
there's something
I mean,
about we're in it together, right?
yeah, we're
We're
in it
we're in this
together.
together. There's a lot of that. Yeah.
But the problem that I find with the yoga, as an example, I go once a week to a hot yoga class, which I really like. It's torturous, but there's no community afterwards. So it's kind of everyone goes their own way, and you never get to really have a conversation, which does open up that idea of what about just starting something. As you said, post on social media, see if anyone else is interested, scan around, see if there are any clubs that exist. There probably are. And I mean, there's all kinds of things. Shinrin Yoku in Japan. I mean, that's a
Exactly.
wonderful
I was going to
concept.
mention that. Yeah.
Mm,
No, absolutely. And
yeah.
I thought, you know what? If people are welcome to contact me as well. I'm happy to let you know how we did it,
Okay.
and you can start what we're doing where you are.
Mm.
Absolutely.
So tell me about resilience and some of the stories you've heard as a result of Walk and Talk Club.
So yeah, because we are talking about resilience, and
Yeah.
I wanted to cite 3 examples. So in my group, I have 3 very, very inspirational ladies who inspire me a lot. One is 84, one is 85, and the other one is 81. And you would never say that, Bradley, but they have been walking with me for 20 odd years. So, And there's something about these women. And honestly, I wish somebody would come and study the walkers in our group, because the research is there. The resilience is there. The longevity is there. The mental health is there. But let me tell you about these women. I mean, first of all, they walk with me. So I walk fast. And they are determined that they are not leaving my group. And I admire it. I take them up the hill, down the hill. I go, oops, we're in the bushes now. Can you climb over? They do it. And that's exactly resilience. It's that can-do attitude. And let me tell you, when I plan an activity, I can always say the first 3 people that will join is those 3 ladies. They just join. They don't think, oh, let me check my diary. No, they say yes. And that's the other thing. Just say yes and then work it out, right? And then the other thing that they also do is that they are involved in purposeful activity. So, I mean, other than the fact that they're walking, because they feel that that is a lifeline for them, because they come and they feel like they're meeting up with family. But 2 of them still work, which is incredible, right? And the other one is our secretary. So she's also involved in our group. You know, she will send people flowers when they're unwell. You know, she collects money for us. She is just incredible. And they come there and they look the part. They look smart. They dress up. There's something about that can-do attitude, but you've got to practice it. You've got to just say yes and then figure it out. And that's how you build it. It's like a muscle. You've got to work on it, and build it and build it and build it. And before you know it, you're just saying yes. But look, I mean, you don't just say yes to everything, but say yes to people that you trust.
Yes.
You know, they trust me at this point. So that's easy for them to say yes.
It's very inspiring when you hear stories of that, where I think people feel a lot of resistance to change, and they set these grand goals or resolutions. I read that 80% of resolutions fail by the 1st of February. 96% of diets fail because there's a goal, but we don't make the change sustainable through habits. Whereas what you're doing is you're helping people create a habit. And I guess there's a level of accountability there as well, because you've got a community and people will say, where were you? What, were you sick?
Absolutely.
Something must have happened. Tell me about that aspect.
No, absolutely. Because, if you miss a walk, you better believe that somebody's going to pick up the phone and find out where you were, or people will go on holiday and they still check in to say hi, just wanted to check in. This is where we are. And I love that, because we feel like a family. And this is what I'm saying. People can do that, but get disconnected and get connected. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, get together, go for that coffee, go for that walk, just connect with people. It's so, so, so important. And a lot of people in my group are single and they live alone. And, they just tell me, Flora, I would be lost without this, because there are people that care for them when they come there. And, you don't have to be a loud person. You don't have to be the person who tells all the stories. You can be quiet and you get carried by the group, because we have lots of storytellers in the group, as you can imagine. But everybody feels valued and they feel like they belong. And I think that's great. And it's rare, but it's something that we've nourished and we've built. And anybody can do it, really. The other aspect of our group as well is, I feel that we're a microcosm of the world. We come from very different backgrounds, and some of our countries are at war. But you know what? When you start that walk or you come to the group, there is none of that. Nothing, not one word is said about it. But there's such a respect for each other. And I just wish that the world would look and say, this is how we do it. This is how we create peace. because we get to know each other as people, and we do something that's meaningful together. And just we cross that cultural divide. And it's, look, I mean, London is a melting pot anyway. There's no way you're going to get a group of people that all come from the same area. And I love that about London. I love that about London.
Mm-hmm.
I love that actually people can connect in such a meaningful way.
Yeah, it really reminds you that what separates us are these strange constructs such as countries that have been invented in the past few hundred years, and ideologies, and it's all nonsense. When you meet people one to one, I've traveled the world, and I think I could count on one hand the number of, bad people that I've met. Most people would like nothing more than to have a conversation and tell you a little bit about their life, and it's precious.
Life is precious, absolutely. So don't waste it. Like get older and do that in a healthy way. Like walk up the steps and feel energized. Have that conversation and have that, with that mental stimulation that you've developed. Just don't isolate yourself. It's so that's exactly what COVID did to us. It isolated us. Get back out there. Get back to being with people. Don't sit on your phone when you're with other people. Have a chat. Go into your coffee shop and talk to the barista. It's so good for your brain. Talk to your postman. Talk to a stranger. I love, that's the other thing that's funny thing that happens, because we're all walking very, very quietly. And of course, people feel like they want to say good morning. Oh, sorry, I can't talk now, in sign language. Sometimes I'll just say good morning because people don't understand why we're not saying good morning.
Like, what's going on with this?
But it's funny because they'll say, but you walk and talk. Why aren't you talking? I said, we talk after.
I love that.
Yeah.
It sounds like this is exactly what is needed for many young people who are suffering from anxiety epidemic. So we've got the loneliness epidemic, we've got an obesity epidemic, and we've got an anxiety epidemic. I mean, walking and connecting with people kind of resolves all of these issues. Have you seen it work for any younger people?
Well, it worked for me. I started walking with a group when I was much younger.
Of course.
And, winters for me are very difficult. I come from sunny South Africa. I'm not used to having more than a few hours of cloud. And we have hard days of grey and drizzle. And I promise you, I could not get through the winter without walking. And I try and get my kids to walk. Do you think I can get them out into nature? But it's so important. But I have to say, Bradley, that the other thing that I think we need to get around, because I feel that marketing has targeted certain age groups. So there's this for new mums, and there's this for if you're in your 20s, and like, why are we dividing people?
True. Again,
it's let's get together. I've learned so much from older people. They have in turn given me so much. I give them energy. They involved in my life. They know about my kids, and they know about my dog, and they feel like they're part of my life, and I feel like I'm important to them. So many young people should be doing this. Get involved. Get involved with each other, which is important, but also mix the age groups. Mix, men and women. Don't separate us. Bring us together. Let's, I love, obviously being a walking group, there are more women than men, but we've got men, and they love it, and we love having them in the group as well.
Do you?
So
yeah, it's a real call to action, and I think that all of us can benefit. And you're right. Why categorize young people? All that separates a young person from an older person is a series of rotations of the earth. We were in our 20s not that long ago. But we didn't have mobile phones, or we had those really, they weren't addictive. And I think that having a kind of structure that enables people to put down that phone for a little while is really powerful, because by default, it's part of us. It's almost an appendage in its own right. So having a practice, and I kind of view what you do as a practice, because you're combining physical activity, time in nature, mindfulness, and connection. Actually, it's like 4 pillars of well-being.
Oh
And
gosh,
a
yeah.
digital detox each day.
Yes, absolutely. So for an hour, you're off your phone, you're in nature, and you're with wonderful people. I mean, honestly, how can you be
Mm.
depressed? It's,
Yeah.
and also,
Yeah.
just can I just say, because I
Please.
feel that the older generation, obviously in many countries, they are very well respected,
Yeah.
but there's also they tend to be neglected or sort of overlooked. Do not overlook this age group at all. Are a wealth of information. They just have so much experience. And when you fear the future, speak to someone who's lived a bit longer than you have. They have lived through wars. They've lived through so many things. Learn from them. What did they do? You don't have to go onto your phone, like Google, what should I do in this situation? Speak to
Yeah.
people. And also, as a younger person, come and give them hope. Give them hope for the future. It's,
Mm,
we need that. We
we
need
do.
also look at our young people and say, rise up. Be the leaders that we need you to be. So, take that time, connect with yourself, think about who you are. And you're not going to do that if you keep sort of stimulating your brain. Just give yourself that space just to think about a few things. I think it's so important.
It is. I love that idea. Instead of asking ChatGPT, go and ask your neighbor who
Yeah,
lived through all kinds of things that you've got no idea about. And in fact, I did that with my neighbor is amazing. We connect every now and then, and she just has stories that you would just blow your mind. Like, and then I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and we went here, and there was this, perfect beach that we discovered, and we went surfing. I'm like, wow, if I didn't take that time to connect with you, you would just be for lack of a better way of describing it, the old lady next door. But you're not at all. You've got
absolutely.
this incredible mind. Mm,
Yeah. And isn't it sad that we don't spend the time talking to them?
yeah.
I just think, come on,
Yeah.
go and take them for a walk. Or better still, join a group that's got older people in it than you are, and
Yes.
learn.
Yes.
Learn from them, and
Mm.
go and give them your youth and vitality. That's important.
That's important to share. Yeah, because it
Mm,
energizes them so much. And for most of history, would have lived in small clans where you had every age group across in your collective. And now we're kind of like, I mean, I live in a place in New Zealand where there are retirement villages, and it's great because it's a nice environment and everything, but you don't see a lot of young people around in there. And I know that it just lights people's day up when they see a little baby or a young person walking through. I mean, it's important, and we do need to bridge those gaps.
oh my word! When we're sitting and having a coffee, and there happens to be a baby in our
Yeah,
eyesight, we can't
yeah,
talk. We're all looking at that baby. I think it's so wonderful. And just talking to that mom or that dad who's sitting with that baby, and just, catching up with them, and they share their struggle as well. I didn't sleep last night. It's been really tough, but, you know, we just say it passes. The time passes really quickly.
exactly.
And that's a reminder. Time does pass really, really quickly in the blink of an eye.
That's the reminder we need, really, and that's what you will learn when you connect with people is, just to make the most of each day and do your best, and don't sweat the small stuff. That's resilience, really. Focus on what you can control,
Yeah.
and that is the basic practices, like going for a walk and connecting with people.
Well, this is exactly it. So when you feel yourself going into a loop, because I suffered also with postnatal depression, and I know what that's like. Where you just feel like you're going down this vortex, and there's no bottom, and it's just to interrupt those thoughts. Just stop.
Yeah.
I can do something different. Get out. Honestly, nature is such a healer. Go out there. Just breathe. Sit by the trees. Honestly, breathe it all in. And it's, so mentally and physiologically, you will have altered your state for sure.
Yes. Yeah. It was Alan Watts who said something along the lines of, you're not a stranger here. Just like an apple tree apples, the earth peoples. You should relish this experience because you come from this place. And it's such a reminder, you're not just like born from some other dimension into this world, depending on your beliefs, perhaps, but remembering that we are part of this planet. This planet does create people. So spend time experiencing it.
You are unique. Obviously, you're special. There's nobody in the world that's like you. So, I would say be yourself, but also remember that we are all connected. We're connected to each other. We're connected to our earth. We are connected to nature. And when you know that, you behave differently. If I know that I'm connected to you and I'm connected to where I walk, and I treat you more gently. I treat the earth more gently. I walk.
Yes.
It's an honor. I feel like my home, this earth is a privilege to live on. So just, get out there. I feel like I'm getting so much when I'm out walking, and it just, just to give back. I can't bear when I walk around and I see litter. I just think, why? Why? Just, obviously we can talk about global warming and everything else, but just respect the earth.
In some research that we did at the Resilience Institute last year, we discovered that people who score high in nature relatedness, so spending time in nature, have higher resilience. And they also tend to score higher in environmental stewardship. So actually wanting to care for nature. So it's such a win-win for everyone. You get fitter. You're spending time in green spaces. We know that that's good for your immune system and for your blood pressure, and you'll have more growth hormone when you sleep because you've been moving. But it's also going to make you want to care for the planet and look after it. There are many causes that you can attach to, and they're all important. But I love that idea of just stewardship. Let's care about biodiversity as well, and about not littering and pollution. There are so many aspects to environmental stewardship.
Absolutely. But also just when we are walking, because obviously we walk in some really, really beautiful spaces. That's something the UK has done very, very well. We've got beautiful green spaces. And when we go, we see so many volunteers. They are there and they're digging away and they're planting here and they're pruning there, and just making the space beautiful for us. And I always am mindful to say thank you, because, it still looks a little bit wild, which is what we love, but it's cared for. And, and we need to just also care for it. Just be respectful. Pick up that piece of litter. It doesn't matter that you didn't throw it. Just pick it up. And remember, it's nice to walk in a place that's clean. It's nice to breathe in fresh, clean air. And, it's like you say, it's a stewardship.
Who inspires you? What are some of your favorite books, or, who's really inspired you on your journey?
Oh, goodness, so many people. My background is in television. I worked for the South African Broadcasting Corporation, which you will know. And I always had something in my mind that I wanted to make a difference. So my producer at the time kind of knew who I was as a person, and she always sent me out on these kind of human interest stories. And I learned a lot from normal people, but I
Yeah.
also have great, I mean, at the moment, I love Andrew Huberman.
He's
Do you
awesome.
know
I love
Dr.
him.
Andrew Huberman? Oh
Oh,
my gosh, just, I
what a
just think I
genius.
try and follow his morning routine.
Yeah, yes.
um, I love Oprah Winfrey. I just thought this woman who came from nothing and made
Mm,
something of herself. And isn't that a lesson? That's resilience.
yeah.
Just don't let anybody tell you that you're anything less than what you are.
Yeah.
Rise up. She was quite famous for saying, "You've been raised, now rise above it." And that's kind of, yeah. Now,
I
and
like that.
also the other thing, and it might sound a little bit, I don't know, trivial, but I watched this movie, Meet Joe Black. Have
Oh,
you
yeah,
seen the movie?
I have.
Anyway, and in his speech, it was his 60th birthday, and he spoke about how he has lived a good life and that he has no regrets, and how he's lived. And also, Joe Black says to him, "I want to learn from you because you have integrity." And something sort of clicked in me at that time, and I thought, I wanted to live a life of integrity. And when I decided, and that was a decision, I just decided this is who I want to be. And it doesn't always make your decisions easy,
Mm,
but they really are worth it, because if you come from that place, you won't lie, you won't cheat, you won't steal. It's just, I mean, those are the very basic things, but just on a higher level, that you
yeah.
try and conduct yourself with integrity. I think that's very important, because you become a person also that somebody feels that they can trust, and
Yes.
I think that is important.
I completely agree. In fact,
What
my
about
next
you?
book.
Yeah,
Oh,
who
no one ever
inspires
asks me
you?
questions.
Well,
So
I'm
many
turning the
people.
interview around.
Ah, no, I'm inspired by many people, and we live in a time where we're so fortunate that we can learn from others through books and videos and recordings where they're not our mentor, but they kind of are, even though they're speaking from the past. So, I've been very fortunate to work with some amazing people, and they changed how I see the world. So there's a guy called Ian Hutchinson in Australia. He was kind of my first mentor. I didn't even realize it, but he just taught me that metacognition, or that ability to tune into your own thinking patterns and ask that question, do I really need to be thinking this? Or are these thoughts constructive? Because most of us operate by default. We don't actually even realize that these thoughts are racing off into the future or the past, and that we actually could change them. It's just we have this mindset of,
Yes.
it is what it is. My experience is my experience. It's a fixed mindset. And then others like his name is Malcolm McLeod. He also a speaker in Australia, and then Dr. Sven Hansen from Resilience Institute. So I've had the privilege to work closely with some of these amazing people, but then also I go back to someone like Alan Watts, who I've watched all of his videos, listened to all of the recordings, and I just find there's so much wisdom there. And he kind of tries to bridge the gap between science as it was in the 70s and Eastern mysticism and religion, and just coming up with a holistic view of the world that's very kind and funny, and not being afraid to be a little bit of a joker every now and then as well. So, it's those types of
Yes.
influences that, and then this whole podcasting thing, it kind of happened by accident. I just started recording some conversations for the Resilience podcast with Dr. Sven, and one day I thought, what if I just open it up to someone else, to others, and started getting other perspectives? And I've learned so much, and I've connected with so many people. So it really gives me a lot of energy, and it satisfies my curiosity, and I think it makes me a better person. So yeah, that inspires me.
Yeah, but you make a difference. So that's important because you've taken what you've learned and you're sharing it with others,
Yeah.
and you're giving others a platform to also to share their ideas and their expertise. And this is how we, again, how we learn from each other. So even though we're not in nature, Bradley, and we're not walking, we are connecting. So let's not demonize technology, because technology helps us to do that. And I'm honestly so grateful for that. Absolutely. Because there you are sitting in New Zealand and I'm sitting in the UK. And, we've connected on so many subjects, and it's the technology that's allowed us to do that.
Yeah.
So I am very, very grateful for technology. Absolutely.
100%. And when I sometimes talk about mobile phones being, being a challenge, they can be, but it's like any technology. I'm sure when our forefathers and mothers discovered fire or tamed fire, whatever happened there, people burned themselves. They played with it all day long until they realized, let's get intentional about how we use this incredible tool. And we're kind of in that early stage with the internet and with social media. And of course, it's addictive and it's fun, but it does provide us with the ability to do this. And for all of you who have tuned in, thank you for sticking with us this far. But it enables us to share messages. And my objective is to empower people with tools that will help them on their journey. And that's, I think, what you do, taking people walking and having those mindful moments and connection, it's super powerful. So yeah, congratulations. And I really appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you, Bradley. I'm only getting started, I've got a few things up my sleeve. I want, like I said, I'm on a mission, and I really, really, I've got, I'm here, I'm walking, I'm creating health, and I'm creating connectedness. And I really, really, I'm here to inspire others to do the same and to join me on my journey. That's what I want. That's what I'd like to bring across today.
Excellent. What would you like people to do if they'd like to connect with you? Where would you like them to go?
Well, they can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm Flora Nell on LinkedIn. They can follow me on social media. Walk and Talk Club. I'm happy to leave my contact details with you as well, Bradley. If anybody contacts you and they want to contact me, very happy to share the message, to chat, if you just want to. Yesterday I was doing my nails, and I had this lady sitting next to me doing her nails, and we just started to talk, and next thing she was inviting me to her house for a cup of tea. And I just thought, isn't that lovely? Just just open yourself up, open yourself up so that people can come in and just commune together.
I love that. Open yourself up, and the right people might come in without you having to force it. Just be open to experience. Wonderful. We'll put all of your social media links in the show notes. So everyone, please do connect with Flora. I'm connected with Flora on LinkedIn, and you publish some really interesting posts. So I really enjoyed the one about the heartbeats, and there's lots of great content there. So do follow. Any final thoughts for those who stuck with us the whole way?
Well, thank you for sticking with us, and I hope that you feel inspired, and that we've been able to do that today. Just be kind to the earth, be kind to yourself. That's so important. Like they say, put on your own oxygen mask first. Do that. Be kind to yourself. And then once you've sort of got your oxygen mask on, don't forget then why you need to put on the oxygen mask for someone else as well. So, yeah, while we're out there and we're looking after ourselves, let's also look after each other. And I just feel that, it will have a ripple effect, and we can just spread it out and make this world a better place to live in for our children and for ourselves.
Thank you so much, Flora. You are a force for good. I love your work, and I look forward to doing this again at some point to hear about how your plans unfold. Very interesting.
Lovely. I would love to come back and do that, Bradley. Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.